Yo, what's good, y'all, man? We got Moon Knight episode 5 in the explain breakdown Easter eggs, man. And I'ma tell y'all, episode 5 was a good ass movie though. Good, I said movie. It's like a movie though. I ain't gonna lie. Good ass show. You feel me, man? It was a lot of stuff everybody need to watch. You know what I mean? About his history. You know what I'm saying? Look, so the whole time we thinking like, oh, it was Khonshu. You feel me? Switching body. The whole time it was him. Switching bodies when he was a little kid. You feel me, man? And the whole time he imagining Steven. That's why Steven don't know shit. You feel me? The whole it was like, and it was good to know all that. Feel me? Because it was like, what the fuck going on? You feel me, man? But it was good for me and other people that don't read comic books. It was good for people like us. You know what I mean? That know his history behind the scenes, like what's going on. You feel me? When he was little, and the whole time he was switching bodies when he was little. You feel me? Switching characters, you know, personalities, and that's why he went, you know, to the house, you know, the cycle house. You know, that's what people call him probably crazy, cause you feel me, switching bodies, and the whole time Steven is just imaginary, you know, person from that movie. You know what I mean? So that's why he can change the language. You feel me? When he's Steven, and then Mark, that's the real body. You know, like we always knew from the beginning. So yeah. But it was a lot of stuff, man, happened in episode 5, man. And then he went to a paradise, so he basically dead, though. But now, like, that was episode 6. I don't know what's going to happen in episode 6. But he might get back and start going crazy. But we don't know, man. But we see, man. We see. But, hey, we got the Easter eggs, man, right now. Like it up, sub. But, but episode 5, I like 10 out of 10, no cap. But, yeah, let's get it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel and MCU. I'm your host, Warren Thompson, and we just watched Moon Knight episode 5. And boy, did it tug on our heartstrings hard. A lot was revealed in this to us, but also to Steven in this episode.
Yeah, Steven revealed a lot of stuff. And the whole time Steven thought his mom was alive, or his mom was dead, and we kind of respect that shit. But Steven didn't know. You feel me, man? Steven like, hello, mom. Yeah, well, hope you get back. Well, woo woo type shit. He just talking to her like, ain't nobody there. Ain't nobody there, man, on that phone. But he don't know that though. You know what I mean? He just know that, hey, she alive. You feel me? But Mark don't tell him everything till now. You know what I mean? Type shit.
Now, there is just a ton to dissect in this episode, so I'll definitely be doing multiple breakdowns on this episode, including talking about Easter eggs. So in this episode, let's talk about some major things that happened that are really important to not only this episode, but also to the finale. Specifically, how Mark Spector and hopefully Stephen Grant end up returning. So let's not waste.
That's what I was saying, like how they return and shit. Cause of Khonshu might save him. Well, he locked up, but somebody might free him though.
Anytime, let's dive into it. And of course, if you're new, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU videos. Now, this episode actually starts off in a cave with a boy yelling help, and then shows a woman who says, "This is all your fault." Now, we obviously know that this is the scene with Mark's brother, and then this is his mom, but we'll talk.
Yeah, the mom blame on him because but it ain't his fault. They both want to, go in the cave and shit, and they just got flooded. But it ain't his fault though. You know what I mean? Like it ain't his fault. He a little ass kid. But moms be, you feel me? That's how moms wanna, you feel me, be like that. So yeah, you know what I'm saying. And probably that's why Mark probably made Steven just to get away from a lot of shit. Just get away. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah.
Talk about that in just a bit, because after this it picks up right where the last episode left off, with Towerette being introduced and Mark and Steven freaking out. However, instead of addressing who this hippopotamus is right away, we actually cut back to the office of Dr. Harrow.
Yeah, they cut you up.
However, this scene may not be what it actually appears to be. There are a couple of details here that you really need to look at. One is that Mark seems to have a busted nose. He did not have this busted nose in the previous scenes where he is in the office of Dr. Harrow talking to him. Also, his demeanor seems to be a little bit different, and he actually doesn't talk that much until he leans forward and says, "Hey, thank you, I feel really great." He then grabs the crystal pyramid like he's about to use it as a weapon. weapon, in which the doctor hits the emergency button he has hidden that signals the guards to come in. He tries to act cool, but then when the guards grab him, he starts to yell, "You're gonna release that monster, you're not a doctor." Now, if you actually rewatch this scene and listen very carefully, this is not the actual voice of Mark or Steven. Listen very carefully.
Hey, thank you. I feel really great. I mean, they must pay you a lot.
Oh, is that Jack Lockett? Is that the other character? The third personality? Oh, I ain't even I thought that was Mark the whole time. I ain't even listening that hard though. I was listening, but I wasn't listening that hard at the voice. I thought that was just Mark.
A lot of money in this place. You're really good. I tell you what, I feel like $1 million. Never felt so good.
This seems to be a completely different person. He also doesn't have the same demeanor as Mark or Steven. This is most likely the personality of Jake Lockley.
Yeah, Jake. I said Jake Lockett. Yeah.
Now, we were expecting a big reveal of Jake.
I thought they were going to reveal him, but they still didn't reveal him. So probably episode 6 they're going to reveal him. This would be like a part 2 coming out. Or if they do make part 2, season 2. You feel me, man? If not, then I don't know. They probably going to keep 2 of them. You feel me? They probably just going to keep 2.
This episode, but we might not actually get a huge reveal, but may actually just get little hints like this scene right here.
So that was Jay. Okay.
We know that the Jake Lockley personality does exist.
When you watch them go back and forth, so much of that is improvised.
Their relationship in real life is sort of similar.
Because in episode 3 it looked like Mark or Steven killed some people, but when Mark takes control of the body and finds a knife
he didn't do it. Both of them
that
didn't
he's
do it.
holding is stabbed into a person, he looks around and says, "Steven, what did you do?" In which Steven says, "I didn't do that," and Mark says, "I didn't either," thus confirming a third personality inside of the body. This is much like the comics. In the comics we do have 3 personalities. We have Mark Spector, Steven Grant, and Jake Lockley. Now obviously things are a little bit different than in the comics.
You know, MCU gonna make their own twist. You feel me? But that's good they did that though. You know, make their own twist though.
Comics, Steven Grant is a millionaire. He is the personality that funds all of Moon Knight's crime fighting. And he's a playboy, so not really like the Steven Grant that we know in the Moon Knight series. Then there's Mark Spector, who in the comics is a mercenary. But then there is Jake Lockley, a smart cab driver. And this persona is used to gather intel from the streets. Now since they changed Steven Grant from the comics, they most likely are going to change Jake Lockley as well. And I think Jake Lockley is coming out when Mark and Steven are super threatened. And he's the one that kills. For example, notice how he goes for the crystal pyramid. Here, he's ready to use it as a weapon. He is ready to kill. So
yeah, he ready. I was saying, Jay Lockett is on the kill street. You know, he don't give a fuck what's going on type shit.
In this scene right here, I actually think we are looking at Jake Lockley. And the bandage is another giveaway that that is all happening right here actually isn't real. It is part of the duat, or the afterlife. And this is just something that is going on in his head. Because in the scene right before this, his nose was not bandaged. And now all of a sudden it is. And this is because it's a different person. It's Jake. But then right away, the next scene we go back to the hippo, Taweret. And she confirms that they are in the duat, the Egyptian
Yeah, so they in the dual world, basically underworld and shit.
Underworld, and that hippo is indeed the goddess Taweret, the goddess of women and children, and also the goddess who helps guide souls through the afterlife. Steven, being the somewhat scholar that he is, automatically knows who she is and realizes what is happening and is actually in shock. He says, "Wow," out of excitement. Now, something that is really, really interesting here is that Taweret says that this is an afterlife, not the afterlife. She confirms that there are actually different realms of the afterlife. So not all people go to the same realm of an afterlife when they die. And she actually mentions the ancestral planes, and she says, "Just gorgeous. These are the ancestral planes from Black Panther." So this would be the afterlife for the Wakandan people. Yet again, another reference to Black Panther. Remember,
somebody did say Black Panther shit, like reference.
Goddess Bast is a part of the Ennead, and we saw a statue of her in episode 3. But she mentions something very important here. She says, "You'd be surprised how many intersectional planes of untethered consciousness exist." What this basically implies is that this is kind of based on the mind of the person person that has died. So whatever afterlife you go to is pretty much based on your mind. And in the sake of Mark and Steven, it's an asylum. And as Towerette explains,
because they crazy, you know, they got two personalities. That's why they in the asylum. Or picture like, you know, in the asylum and shit.
Perceive the afterlife as something more easily recognizable to yourself. So to Mark and Steven, it's an asylum because, as Mark says, they're crazy. Although they really aren't, because Mark opens the door, which leads to the afterlife. And Towerette's boat is taking them to essentially judgment. Steven says, we're going to the field of reeds, right? And the field of reeds is essentially heaven, but Towerette says that they kind of have to be judged first. Their hearts have to be weighed. And Towerette puts their hearts on the scale of justice. Now,
yeah, I can't believe that. She just say, oh, wait, hold on, I'm gonna do this right quick. She just, I'm like, damn, just take the heart like that? Just take the heart like that? God damn. Shit. They ain't feel nothing because, you know, they in the afterlife, so they probably don't feel shit. They like, damn. The fuck? She just like, just yank that motherfucker. No cap.
You notice the statue in the middle is of Anubis. In ancient Egyptian beliefs, Anubis, the god of the dead, measured the hearts of the dead on the scale of justice, weighing them against the feather of Ma'at, the god of justice. Now, in ancient Egyptian beliefs, if the heart was lighter than the feather, the soul could go on to live forever in the afterlife, in the field of reeds. Now, in the MCU, in this story, the scales have to be balanced. It's also worth noting that if your heart was not lighter than a feather, you essentially went to hell, and Amet, the goddess that Hera was trying to resurrect, ate your heart. Now, Steven mentioned something very important here when he's explaining to Mark what Towerette is doing. He says she's weighing their hearts on the scales of justice because the Egyptians believed that the heart was the sign of who you really were in life. And this is very interesting because she takes both of their hearts, even though there actually is only one physical body. There were actually two people in that body because, as we saw, Mark created Steven very, very early on in life.
Yeah, he created him when he was little. You feel me? We ain't know till this episode 5 came out. You know what I mean? Well, I ain't know type shit. But yeah, he created him since he was little. So he can hide, you know, all that thing. You know what I'm saying? Hide what he going through with his mom. That's why he created Steven and shit. You know, just as imaginary, pretty much friends or some shit. But yeah,
he looked to be around maybe 10 years old. So you would
stop the car. You must think I'm stupid.
Have to weigh the heart of Steven and Mark to truly tell who the person was in life, because there were two people. This could also be another sign that Jake really doesn't come out that often and maybe has only recently started to come out. Now, the hearts are on the scales, but Towerette says there's a problem. The scales aren't balancing. She says the reason is because their hearts aren't full. They're hiding something from each other. And the boat contains all of their life's memories, so they need to go inside and work it out. No more secrets. Now, here's where we discover a few things. One is when they go into a room, they see basically zombies. They see dead people. And what this is a room of all of the people that Mark killed when he was a mercenary. And he even remembers killing
yeah, and he remember them too. That's like, damn, you killed them and remember them at the same time. Damn.
Each one of them. Steven says, and you remember all of them, and Mark says, you try taking a life, obviously implying that it's a pretty big impact on yourself when you kill somebody else.
Nah, that's facts though.
Definitely not something you forget. However, there's a little boy in the room, and Mark recognizes him, but Steven doesn't. And Mark tries to get Steven not to go after him, but Steven does. And
yeah, you know, Steven hardhead. Steven gonna do what he gonna do, type shit. But that's good. He did it.
Out of a room. When Steven goes in, he sees his mother, his father, himself, and a brother.
I was like, oh, that's his, and I didn't even know he had a brother. I'm like, oh shit, that's the mama we didn't see yet to now. That's the brother we didn't see. That's Mark, little Mark right there, little Mark, even little Mark type shit.
That he didn't know he had. We obviously know that Steven never knew of the brother because Steven was created after his brother died.
Facts. So, that's why he created him too. Yeah.
Of course, more on that in a bit. But in this scene right here, Mark and his brother...
And Mark never tell you he had a brother. Mark keep everything a secret. Till episode 5, they told us. Mark was like, hey, we're going to tell y'all what's going on with Mark. And we like, I bet, motherfucker. I bet.
Roro
you know what I mean? That's why I have Mark like, hey, we're going to tell you.
Cave. Before they leave, Mark's mother says, be sure to look after your brother, okay? Mark says, yeah. Then he says the classic late as gay is that we actually hear Steven say, and his mom then says, in a while, crocodile. Now, sadly, it starts raining, which makes the cave pretty dangerous, and water starts coming up from the bottom, and sadly, Mark's brother, Roro, dies. This in turn causes his mother to absolutely hate him and blame him for the...
Right, but I mean, it ain't his fault though. You know, both of them want to go in the cave, and shit, the water, it just started raining, and the water just came up. So I about to say, I mean, even Steven was like, hey, it ain't your fault, type shit.
Death of his brother.
So Mark.
And she pretty much makes his life a living hell since then, as if it wasn't hard enough dealing with the death of a brother. Now, we eventually cut to a scene where Mark is running away from home. His dad asks him to stay, but he leaves anyways, which is where Mark, in the unconscious afterlife, tackles Steven. And this actually brings them to the original Moon Knight origin story from the comics.
Yeah, that's how I was like saying when I watched the movie, I like, damn. This is the comic book section. You know what I mean? People was talking about, you feel me? When it was, you know, before Moon Knight came out, it was like, you know, this is what happened. He you know, he about to die. He went to, you know, went to the Khonshu, and the Khonshu talked to him and shit, and then he came back to life type shit.
We've talked about this a lot here, and we finally have got it. And we find out what actually happened to Layla's father, the full story. Mark even explains that he was in the military before, but got discharged because he went AWOL in a fugue state. Now, AWOL means that you left without official leave, and a fugue state refers to dissociative fugue, which basically means Mark was in the military, but then Steven, or perhaps Jake Lockley, came out and left the military. You're obviously under contract, and you can't just leave the military, so this got him discharged. So the only work he could get after he was discharged was that of a contractor, a mercenary. And here he explains that he was on a site in Egypt with an old partner, Bushman. This is Bushman from the original comic story. And just like in the comics, Bushman decides that he's gonna change the plan, and instead he's gonna actually kill everybody so there's no witnesses. Unfortunately, this did mean killing Layla's father, Dr. El Fowler.
Yeah,
but much like in the comics, Mark stands up to Bushman and fights him. However, Bushman wins. But right before Mark dies, he crawls to a statue of Khonshu.
Yeah,
and he's about to end his life, but then Khonshu reaches out to him, and he makes him a deal. He can live or die, but if he lives, he becomes Khonshu's Fist of Vengeance, his Moon Knight. Now in the comics, Mark actually dies and Khonshu brings him back to life. Here, it looks like Mark doesn't actually die. But we do find out that Khonshu really has been manipulating Mark because of his so-called broken mind. And that is the origin story of Moon Knight in the MCU. And you gotta give it to Marvel Studios with their comic accurate shots.
Yeah, cause I saw a picture before too when they was doing, you know, they was doing, you know, summaries of the Moon Knight. But they did it, yeah, they did it. Like he was sitting like that, like in the picture, like I saw. Yup.
In the MCU, they are beautiful. But then we go back to Towerette and her boat, and as they sail through the underworld, Towerette notices that souls are being judged before condemned to the sands before their time, meaning they're not dead, they haven't died and then it's their time to be judged. They're actually being judged while they're alive. And we of course know that this is what Hera was doing. Him and Amit are judging people way before it's their time. And Towerette says, oh, this is bad, this is evil. Which is the perfect time for Mark and Steven to plead their case. They need to get back so they can stop Harrow and Amit. However, there's a problem. If she sends them back, they're just gonna go back into the same body that was shot that died. So they can't really go back because they're essentially just gonna die again. But the answer to this problem is Khonshu. If Khonshu is brought back,
if Khonshu brought back, then they can live.
Then he can give Mark and Steven the Moon Knight suit, which would heal them. But then Steven says something very, very important. He asks Towerette if she can send word to Layla to help free Khonshu. That way Towerette can send them back to a healed body. And after asking if they really want to go back with Khonshu, they say yes because it's the only way. But there are two problems. One is that the scales still aren't balanced, which means they could still be stuck in the underworld. And two, they have to go through Osiris's gates to get back. So Towerette steers her ship towards Osiris's gates, but she tells Mark and Steven to go back inside and reveal these hidden things. And now we know what the big secret was. The big secret was that Steven is actually the persona, the identity, that is made up. Mark is the main person.
Fact, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's how he twists his body, his conscience. He was like, what? Da, da, da. You know what I mean? Going back to Steven and shit. The whole time, he just imagining motherfucker. You feel me? But we kind of been on that, but it was like, we don't know for sure. But they finally told us, like, you know what I'm saying? He was a little switching consciousness back and forth. You know what I mean? Steven and Mark.
and Steven is the identity that sometimes takes over. This is revealed in a scene where Mark is not wanting to deal with his mother. She's
bad. That's why he did that for us, so he won't deal with her. So he trying to, you feel me, made Steven, you know, imaginary friend or brother, whatever you want to call it. But yeah,
banging on his door, trying to break through because she's about to punish him.
Yeah,
and we see
Mark
bring Steven to life. And he explains that he brought Steven to life because Steven was the part of him that was supposed to be happy and carefree and not have to worry about life and his mother and his brother dying. But then there's also another major reveal, which is the fact that Mark's mother / Steven's mother is dead. Which makes you really wonder, who exactly was he talking to on the phone this whole time?
Nobody. Nobody. That's sad too. Like, that's sad to see Steven like, damn, my mom and dad. Like, the whole time he like, damn. Like, I was talking to nobody the whole time. Just pretty much nobody.
Now, Steven could have simply been leaving his mother voicemails, but in some of the episodes it did seem like she was replying to him. Even in the scene after the funeral of his mother, it does appear like Steven is talking to somebody. Mark sits outside of a house where people are gathered to mourn the loss of his mother. He says it's a Shiva, which is a Jewish week-long mourning period, and Mark is Jewish. He decides not to go in even after he sees his father, and his father tells him to come in. He simply walks away. Now, a Shiva is supposed to be a time where a person embraces and discusses their loss. But Mark doesn't want to deal with that. That's actually why he invented Steven and brought Steven to life. So, instead of dealing with it, Steven comes out. And he has no idea where he is. He simply says, oh, I did it again. And what he thinks it is just he's getting up at night and essentially sleepwalking. But he pulls out the phone and it looks like he is talking to somebody. And it sounds like there is a tiny back and forth. He even goes at one point in time, no, I know I did it again, like he is reacting to something somebody is saying. But we know it's not his mom because his mother is dead. Now, I actually think that he could simply be talking to himself.
Searching for a new Jeep?
Well,
good news, the search is over.
And maybe
that's why I said nobody.
Perhaps he is hearing a voice inside of his mind, because if you take a look at his phone in this scene, it's not actually calling anybody. It looks like it's just kind of
I said nobody.
And in a show where we're dealing with mental illness, this probably makes sense that it's kind of in his head, which in turn makes it even more sad. Now they return to the top of the ship where unfortunately the scales aren't balanced yet, and Towerette says she's sorry, but the underworld is essentially going to claim them theirs. And this is where we actually see people that Mark has killed before come onto the ship to try and take him to the underworld and make him a permanent part. They're a little too much for Mark to handle, but Steven realizes that if Mark can handle it, so can he. They're the same person. And Steven steps up and he saves the day, but unfortunately, it costs him his own life.
Yeah,
and what's really interesting is that after he gets taken by the underworld, the scales balance. Now, this is really deep here.
That's what I was like saying, like, so Steven was the whole problem? Because how Steven died, now the shit balanced, now he in the paradise now. It's like, so Steven was the whole problem with his life type shit. Like, I don't know, so I need to explain, but he gonna explain it right here though.
What this most likely has to do with is Mark facing his past. He used Steven to cope with so much in life, but now he can no longer use Steven. The rest of his journey is something that he has to do on his own, and now that Steven has sacrificed himself for Mark and Mark has to go on alone, the scales are balanced. Everything is out in the open. Steven knows that he was the person that was been made up. Mark knows that he created Steven to deal with things that he didn't want to deal with, so he could kind of ignore them and just be happy as Steven. But now he's faced all of that and is on his own, and he quickly finds himself in the field of reeds, basically heaven. And for somebody who's found himself in heaven, he doesn't look too thrilled. And of course, that is because he lost Steven, and Amit is about to kind of take over the world and judge millions of people before they even do anything wrong. Now, what is exactly going to happen in the finale? Well, Towerette, even though she was nowhere to be seen in the field of reeds, was steering her ship towards the gates of Osiris, which is where she said they could return from. We also know that Towerette is going to give a message to Layla to save Khonshu, so I'm guessing that all of this is going to go down in the finale. Layla is going to be the one who frees Khonshu. Then Toweret is going to take Mark out of the field of reeds by his own choice, through the gates of Osiris and back to the earthly plane. She'll use her goddess powers to put him back inside of his body that was once dead. Once he's back in that body, Khonshu will summon the Moon Knight suit, which will heal the body. And from there on out, Mark will go and try to stop Harrow, in which we'll have a pretty epic fight scene. One that has been showed in a trailer TV spot of Mark as Moon Knight running up a pyramid while Arthur runs up the other side as well. So get ready for an epic final battle. But of course, the big question is Steven gone? I do not.
That's what I was saying, though. My nigga Steven, man. God damn. I ain't gonna lie, I miss his ass, folks. I miss his ass already. God damn Steven, man.
Believe so. I do think that he will return. Sadly, he may not return until after Mark battles Harrow, but Mark Spector having dissociative identity disorder is a huge part of who the character is. You can't just have Steven go away. That takes away the character. So I am guessing that he is going to return, but they certainly did pull on our heartstrings in this episode because let's face it, everybody loves Steven. Mark is awesome.
That's what I was saying. When Steven gone, I felt some type of way, man. I did feel some type of way. I was like, damn. Cause we were so attached with him, though. I ain't gonna lie, we was attached with Steven a lot in this whole episode. So I feel the type of way, man, when Steven was he just jumped in. I was like, damn. I miss Steven already, no cap. I miss his ass.
Moon Knight is awesome, Mr. Knight is awesome, but we all love Steven Grant.
Yeah,
but let me know if you think we'll see him again in the finale in the comments down below. And be sure to let me know what you rate this episode in the comments down below as well. I want to know what you think. Don't forget to like the video and of course subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU videos. For live updates, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.
But yeah, that was a breakdown, man. It was a lot, though. It was a lot that happened on episode 5, man. Episode 6 gonna be good. You feel me? It's gonna be good. Finale. You know what I mean? And then that week, you know, after Moon Knight is Doctor Strange too. So that whole week gonna be lit. You got the Moon Knight and Doctor Strange at the same damn time. No cap. But yeah, but we see what happened, man, on episode 6, man. You know, eventually gonna be back in Earth, you know what I mean? But you know, you gotta go through a lot of shit to get back to Earth, some shit, you know what I mean? So hey, and the country might be free. Yeah, I hope he is, you know, free my nigga country. I ain't gonna lie, free my nigga Steve too, man. No cat. But yeah, like it up, sub, and yeah, peace.